all he had been and all towards which he grew must now be left behind or else transformed into a self of that which has no name. A moment of choice has come in the yogic pursuit of Ashwapati. All he had been and towards which he grew. He is climbing up, climbing up, climbing up. He has come all the way up to the house of the Supreme Creative Force. He is standing at her door. At her door. And therefore, what was there behind it, either he must abandon that and merge into it and disappear, or that which has no, or else transform itself into a self of that which has no name. This is a tremendous thing. Actually, in terms of the spiritual choice, this is a great moment in the sadhana of Ashwapati. You have done all that, you forget about that thing and go and merge there, or transform all that which is there behind. You have left something behind, transform that thing into that which you are seeking, or just forget about the whole thing and go and merge here. So a tremendous moment of choice has come in his sadhana. Now there are people who feel happy, forget about this world, I am not concerned with that, let me go and stay there happily. And there are also people who would like to do something for this world. In fact, in a certain sense, that was also the choice in front of Gautama Buddha. When he was on the doorsteps of Nirvana. So I was telling you that in the case of Gautama Buddha also, that moment of choice had come in sadhana. He was standing on the threshold of Nirvana. He could have disappeared into Nirvana. But then he was concerned about the sorrow of this world, dukkha, and he did not step into Nirvana. That is what we have called the Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha. He stands back there. So in a certain sense, Ashwapati's moment of choice has come now here. Now, the difference between Buddha stepping back from Nirvana and Ashwapati stepping back from that moment is he is concerned about the sorrow of this world, Buddha, dukkha. But he has no clue, no solution. Who is going to remove the sorrow? How the sorrow can go away? Here, Ashwapati has a definite intuition that it is the Shiva, divine supreme power, who alone can remove the misery, the suffering, the death, the ignorance of this creation. So, he wants to step back from Nirvana in the context of sorrow, but he has no solution to offer for this creation. Ashwapati has that she is standing there and it is she alone who can do something for this creation. So that is a great difference between the spiritual status of Ashwapati and Buddha, I will say. All he had been and all towards which he grew must now be left behind, or else transformed into a self of that which has no name, the nameless, formless featureless, qualityless, into that is transformed. Alone and fronting an intangible force. Now, fronting intangible force, this is the Shakti. She is there. Buddha does not have the idea of the Shakti standing behind that. Alone and fronting an intangible force, which offered nothing to the grasp of thought. Of course, thought, mind cannot really understand what she is. You see. His spirit faced the adventure of the inane, nothing, blank. You see. Abandoned by the worlds of forms, from the worlds of form, he strove. Now, he has given up form, but still he is striving. Who she is? Because she is an intangible force, ungraspable. What she is, of that he has no idea. He has no idea. Alone and fronting an intangible force which offered nothing to the grasp of thought, his spirit faced adventure of the inane. So, it is the spirit of Ashwapati who is really climbing up, and coming to this point now, you see. When you say Ashwapati is climbing, actually it is the spirit of Ashwapati who is making the grand odyssey all the way up to that point, you see. Abandoned by the worlds of form is true. A fruitful worldwide ignorance founded there. Now this worldwide ignorance, well, it has a role to play. It has played its role. It has brought up creation from absolute void to something definite. Because nothing came the physical form, came life, came the mental being, came the spiritual process. So all these things have been the work of this worldwide ignorance. Prakriti, who has been doing that thing in ignorance, she has brought up all that thing. So that way, because this has happened so far, it is fruitful. Out of nothing this is have come, so some kind of fruit has come up, you see, from that, has appeared, has born, you see. But when now you are meeting that intangible force, in front of that intangible force, this ignorance founders, stumbles, stops, shaking. It cannot stand it. A fruitful worldwide ignorance founded there, thought's long, far-circling journey, touch is closed. So thought has come. Beyond that it cannot go now. It cannot conceive of anything at all. And ineffective, because the actor will. The action which has been taking place all along in ignorance, that will, which is driving things, that will also has become now ineffective. It cannot really deal with that intangible force. It is beyond its grasp capacity. The simple modes of being help no more. So all these things which are there like symbols helping, carrying you forward, they are of no consequence. They are not of any avail to you at all. The structures, nations builds, collapsing, the structure, nations builds. That is the work of ignorance. Fruitful world ignorance, worldwide ignorance. Nations builds, collapsing, failing. And even the spirit that holds the universe fainted in luminous insufficiency. Luminous insufficiency. It is bright, but that brightness is not sufficient to solve the problem of this creation. That brightness is not sufficient. The spirit that holds the universe, the spirit that holds the universe. I would say the spirit stands for Satchidananda. Yes. So high Therefore, he said, even the spirit, the luminous is not, no, even the spirit who holds this universe, who is the creator of this universe, worldwide ignorance, etc., which one can understand that they will fail. But even that luminous spirit is helpless there. It is helpless because of its insufficiency. What is lacking? What is it lacking? Insufficiency. What does Satchidananda lack? That it cannot be really helped, cannot hold what should happen here. Why should that luminous spirit faint? What is insufficient in it? The insufficiency is the divine power, Shakti, Mother, force, the executive force, the dynamism of the Creative Supreme. Unless that is present there, even Satchidananda is helpless. So the insufficiency of Satchidananda is in the lack of that supreme divine power operating in it. And therefore it fails, it fainted. Yes, I mean, it can stand all that thing, but helpless. I am sorry, I can't do much beyond that. So this is a very crucial discovery that Satchidananda, otherwise Satchidananda transcendent is there, so what? But unless the divine Shakti comes forward from that, nothing can happen. Fainted in luminous insufficiency, in an abysmal lapse of all things built, all things built. Now, of course, the entire creation rising from the absolute zero to the transcendental world, these are all things built in manifestation. Abysmal lapse. Abysmal here means deep, profound. In the abysmal lapse of all things built, transcending every perishable support and joining at last its mighty origin, the suffered self must melt or be reborn into a truth beyond the mind's appeal. The choice is the separate self must melt, disappear. It has no business to be there at all. It must disappear, melt into the supreme existence. And or else take birth into a truth beyond mind's appeal. So that is the choice again, means reiterating the choice. Now in the context of how this insufficiency can be removed. In an abysmal lapse of all things built, transcending every perishable support, and joining at last its mighty origin, the supreme, absolute, that's the mighty origin, the separate self. Now, he's speaking of separate self, the individuality without a knowledge of oneness. That is what brings out separate self. See, in the beginning we had of oneness all these forms are. Although of one these forms of greatness are, everything is of that one, but that one, though he is present everywhere, those forms are not aware of that oneness. These forms are not aware of that the one who is present behind them is one. And that is what makes it separate self. This form, they become separate self, you see. By His breath of grace, our lives abide, although more near, etc., etc. So there is the whole story is very well knit. The poet has consistently put everything in the proper form, you see. He has not forgotten what he has written everywhere. In an abysmal lapse of all things, transcending every perishable support, and joining at last its mighty origin, the separate self must melt. One has produced forms, but as those forms have become separate self, that separateness has to disappear. Must melt or be reborn into a truth. Means these forms of one, they must take their birth in truth. Then the oneness is present in the truth form everywhere. The separate self must melt or be reborn into a truth beyond the mind. Of course, mind cannot understand all these things.